So ladies and gentlemen, we are moving forward to our next session. We have a very interesting keynote speaker who is going to talk about a lot of interesting things that we can take away from it. Ladies and gentlemen, so please put your hands together for Mr. Ashish Mithal, Head of Business Communication Partnerships for APAC Google Business Profile. Let's have a huge round of applause.
Am I audible? Awesome. Thanks for taking out time to be here. My name is Ashish Mithal. I'm part of Google's partnerships team and I work on a product area which is called as business communications. So today we are going to talk about a new innovation on search which has happened. Let's start with a quiz. Anyone wants to take a shot how many times search changes in a day? So we have all been using search, right? I'm sure all of us use it. Probably we use it several times a day ourselves. But can you take a guess how many times does it change every day? Any wild guesses? So it changes almost 12 times every day. At any given point of time, there are more than 100,000 experiments running on search. So it's not like a static thing. If you go back, what you used to see as search, it has kind of evolved significantly since then. And the reason of doing these changes is because the users' demands are changing, right? Like users on a daily basis, there's something called a segment of one, which is you don't do a normal segmentation, SEC, ABC, but you actually try to understand at a user level what is the need and preferences. So we work in a product area which is very closely associated with search, and we thought it would be a good idea to take you through the journey that we have been on. We think we've developed something which is pretty cool, and we wanted to share it with you. Cool. So let's start with as a user, right? As a user, I think we are connecting with friends and family, and more often than not, we're using messaging as a platform to do it, right? And similarly, when we're trying to reach out to businesses and merchants, there is similar behavior which comes into picture. But what happens is that those instances or those intents to reach out to businesses, those are a few microseconds. It's actually said that the attention span of a user today is lesser than of a goldfish. And that's the sad part, right? So as a marketer, it's always a challenge. How do you keep making sure that those moments which are there, you keep a tap of that? And there's a common thing, like browsers have sessions where people have moments, and it's important that you capture those moments and act on those needs so that you can actually make some meaningful outcomes out of that, right? And for a lot of these moments, actually, users come to search to kind of get the solution on that. If I'm trying to look and buy an EV car, I want to know about the car, right? I'm not sure what is the range, what kind of a vehicle do I need, whether the charging mechanism which is there in my society is compatible or not. When I'm trying to find a shoe and I want to look at what is the availability of that particular sneaker that I'm looking for in size 9 with maybe orange laces and, some weird one. I want to check whether it's available in there or not. And I probably go to maps and out like what's the nearest store close to me. If I want to buy a thing, I want to buy a book, I'll go to search and find out like what's the reviews, what are the good reviews, and which is the best place to buy it. And even if I've made an interaction with a business, I'm sure a lot of us are facing issues on travel these days. And first thing that you do when you want to reach out to customer care of, say, a particular airlines, what do? You go and say Indigo customer care, right? This is what we do. So across all these touch points, what users continue to do is they continue to come on search for and generate billions of queries. And it's difficult. It's difficult for businesses to make sure that across all these complex user journeys, how do you make sure that you have a concerted single view of the audience and make sure that you're servicing those requirements in the credible way. So what we have done is we have kind of created a functionality. We'll talk the name about that in a bit. But what it does is it kind of offers a capability for you to offer a simplified way to kind of address all these users' needs. So whenever there is a user or customer, existing prospective is trying to get in touch with you, what if there was a way that you can reach out to them wherever they are, right? And you can actually meet their needs at that moment in a contextual manner and make sure in a single conversation you can do that. And today what's happening is messaging has become the primary channel of how users want to interact with businesses. So what we did was the most logical thing, which is whenever users are expressing an intent to connect with a business, we've now enabled a functionality that businesses can enable messaging as a functionality across their Google surfaces. So I'm sure you're aware of it. This is Google Business Profile, which allows you to make sure that all your locations and everything, all the reviews, all the cool functionalities which are there are up to date. We provide the most trusted experience. But on top of it, what you can do is you can enable chat as an experience. If as a business, you already have a messaging platform, it can be plugged into that. The same experience can be brought to life. What we're seeing is just enabling this thing can lead up to 37% deflection in calls, right? Because what we don't realize is a lot of volumes that come to the call centers actually emanate from search, right? So if you're able to give users an option there, you don't need to go through that path of whenever user calls up, tell them don't call us up, send them a deflection message later on, right? So this is a more cooler way of doing it. And what we have done is basically we have enabled chat as a channel across the entire gamut of Google surfaces. So Google as an ecosystem has about 8 platforms which are billion users plus. And each of those platforms come to life in different formats. One of the most common one is customer care. We spoke about you wanted to get in touch with the customer. If you make a search for any business today, right, and a customer care, you would just see a contact center number. You click on it, you land up on the call center. And the intent from the users is I want to message the business asynchronously. And as businesses also, you want to meet the users in a digital channel, which is more efficient, which is more, engaging. So what now can be done with this functionality is that you can enable a control panel right on the search. It allows you a functionality to even surface the top elements within the channel, within the intent. So you can directly tap on it and convey your intent, right? You're actually getting the user's intent. Imagine every query which is going to come through this, it's backed by explicit intent from a user wanting to get in touch with you. And you tap on it, there are rich, cool functionalities built in, there are carousels, rich cards, it is vernacular, built out of the box, it supports all Indian languages, and you can actually start answering to the customers then and there. Of course, if at a brand level, if there are simple brand keywords happening, along with the site links, similar functionality can be enabled. It is pretty handy for customer acquisition, for handling, displaying all the cool services that you offer. Now this is the favorite one. All of us use dialer. Dialer is basically the phone button that you tap, and the only action that you have seen on dialer is that green button, right? So now what we have done is we have enabled messaging natively within the dialer itself. So as soon as business goes live with functionality, Google understands that, okay, this business is capable of responding to the user, not just with call, but also with chat. And in a magical way, we're able to surface the chat option along with call. Any guesses how much is the deflection which happens from this entry point? The businesses which are seeing almost 50% deflection, 50, not 15, 50% deflection, it's very logical. You're actually presenting users a choice at that moment when they want to reach out, right? And it's working well. Of course, that was about users who are very sure of when they want to get in touch with you, but there are also prospective users whom we are potentially targeting through Google Ads. And many of the ads today, they are designed in a way that they take the users to a landing page or potentially a lead gen form, right? Both of them are pretty static experiences. They are use cases where brands would love to speak to the customer who's wanting to, take their business to you, right? And this is what HDFC did. Home loan is a complex product category, and their customers are not just based in India, they are global. And if you take them on a normal journey, they were taking the users to a lead gen form, collecting that information and figuring out the messy way on how do you get back to users without distracting them. In this way, what they can do is they can actually open up a panel and have the users, of course, inquire about the product, but even connect with the concierge that they have for this product, right? And it gave them significant uplift in terms of the acquisition, lowering the cost of acquisition for the customers. It can be enabled as an extension. If you have a complex product where you're selling services, but you want to offer an assisted experience, this is what HP is doing. Buying a laptop, again, is a very evolved process. You want to figure out what's the configuration, what's the use case. So you always are looking for assistance, and this is something that they can offer. And this is the newest innovation that we have, which is shopping. Increasingly, Google Shopping is the preferred mode on how users interact with multiple businesses, a lot of B2C brands who are putting their catalogs, their entire product inventory on Google. And whenever users kind of have an intent to connect with a business, chat as an option comes up here, along with the site link. And at that moment, what we do is, we don't start the journey by saying, hi, welcome to this brand, how can we help you? We know that this user is interested in this product. So what we thought is, what if we start the conversation with that product? So we actually pass on the context of that product information on the chat, both to the business and to the user, that, hey, be aware that you came in looking for this. So if a conversation starts, the business doesn't need to ask me, I'm looking for a necklace or a earring. You can actually get on into this. What we're finding is a conversion rate on this kind of an experience is almost 70%. And this works well for high consideration, high value products where actually consultation can lead to outcomes. We don't think it'll work well for, products where the landing page works well. So if I want to buy a t-shirt, I want to look at the selection and I'm probably not looking for assistance. But if it's a high consideration like jewelry or high-end electronics or, like home appliances, this works pretty well. And yes, you can also integrate it across your own assets. It can be plugged in through a URL. It can be enabled on your app. It can be embedded as a link on the email. The best part is it works out of the box for all devices. There is no need for users to download any other app, sign up to a new service. As long as they're using Android devices, which a lot of users do, it will work out of the box. Even if users are using iOS, a lot of users use Google Maps, right? All of us love to use Google Maps for navigation, so it will just work fine for those users as well. And the conversation is not going to just rest there. Once the conversation starts, it is an asynchronous conversation. What it means is that you start the conversation, maybe I was planning to buy an AC and I saw an ad, I wanted to chat up with LG and I went and inquired and I slept, right? And maybe business was also not equipped to handle at that moment. Whenever the business comes online, it responds back to me. That conversation can be carried forward. Or think of another use case. I was buying that sneaker, orange laces sneaker. It was not in stock at that moment, right? And business said, sorry, it's not in stock, so please don't bother coming. But we'll inform you when it is in stock. 14 days later, it comes back in stock and you can send a notification. It will come up. Adidas, we are wanting to get back to you. It's the same conversation thread which stayed on user's device and you can take the journey forward. We have up to 30 days of interaction window on this. So yeah, this is what we have created, which is called as Google Business Messages. It is essentially 3 parts. One is we have created a bunch of entry points which are used by billions which billions of users use it every day. And it is an asynchronous channel. Once the conversation starts, it is retained on the user's device and there are rich functionalities built into it. And then it is designed to make sure that all the use cases, whether it is top of the funnel, whether it is conversion, whether it is post-service, can be handled as you feel like. And there are key business outcomes that can be seen by businesses who adopted it. Definitely an uplift in CSAT scores. Higher engagement leads to better outcomes. We all know that. 37% plus deflection at a blended level, which businesses have seen. There are case studies which I mentioned here. You can kind of go to the URL and explore. This is the product page. And yeah, increase in terms of the sales conversion as well. So yeah, like that's our offering. If you want to be there where users are looking to talk to you, then this is something probably you should consider. There are millions of businesses, millions of merchants who have enabled it, thousands of large enterprises which have enabled it. And we have worked with a lot of partners to make sure it's available out of the box. With Konnect Insights, this functionality is there. So you can just reach out to your representative and they should be more than happy to equip you on that. Our goal is to make sure that this becomes kind of a front door to meet your users whenever they're looking in touch with you, right? So this is what we are working towards. Thank you.